All right, so I took a break and I'm back and was looking at it with fresh eyes here, and I want to fix a few things. So I thought I'd film this part right here. So one thing I noticed when I looked at it with fresh eyes is, okay, so look at my landscape here. So look here, in this part right here. You can see how the shore dips down, right, and then it curves back, and you can see that right there. Okay, now go to the reference, and you can see it's a lot more just straight across, right? And you can see mine doesn't really do that. It really dips, and that's one thing I think I'm going to correct because it'll change the perspective of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I guess I'll just take this turquoise green color here, and I'm just going to go back over and kind of erase that and kind of make it a little bit more straight across. All right, and just change the shoreline of that distant land piece right there. All right, and then I think over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down this one here so it's a little bit closer. All right, and that's just a little quick fix here because I want to get that perspective right so that we're looking at this from like a lower elevation here in the foreground, right? If I bring this down too much, it's going to bring the perspective of the viewer up higher and more looking downward, and I don't want that. I want more of a looking straight out, just like the reference picture shows. All right, so I just noticed that with fresh eyes. Sometimes you work on something and then you right, and then you take a break and then you come back to it and then you see it differently, right? You see it, wait a minute, why does it look so different? And so it's good taking breaks, and you can see things with fresh eyes and make those corrections. See, so I think I brought that down a little bit better, and I'm going to go ahead and correct that over here. All right, and these will just be really quick adjustments here. You can see I'm just shaving the land just by putting the blue right over it, and the NuPastel has no problem going right over itself. Very easy to correct with this right here. And the pastel mat is great because I can just keep taking those colors and nothing's really falling down here, which is great. Okay. All right, so let's see now back in here. I might just kind of leave that there, but over here I'm going to shave it up right here. So it's a little bit more, so that line here really more goes straight across, doesn't dip down anywhere. Okay. Right, and then distant stuff is really lighter blue as you move towards the back, lighter blue. Okay. So just little corrections here and there as I see it. And man, my light is flickering. I think because I have the heater on. And so my studio, it gets really cold in the wintertime. It doesn't have really good insulation. So what happens in the wintertime is it gets cold in here. I have to put a little portable heater, and it draws a lot of power, and it's on the same circuit as my lights, and so they're all sharing the same power, and sometimes what happens is my light will start flickering, so which is kind of annoying. So I'm gonna have to turn off my heater here, and it's gonna get cold, but as long as I keep moving, I should be okay. All right, and I'm just gonna smooth out these lines. We'll eventually fix all this with oil pastel, but you can do a lot with the NuPastel. You can pretty much finish a whole painting like this and just go over. See, I'm filling all the gaps where that white paper is, and just kind of keep working it. All right, so I think that's a little better. A little bit darker right here in the shore area. All right, these NuPastels, they're fun to work with. Very easy. And of course you do get messy, which is something I like. I like getting messy. All right, let's take a look at it now. That's a little better. I think I want to think I got it leaned back too far back in there, so I might bring it down over here a little closer so it's not so slanted, right? Just trying to get close to that reference as far as how the perspective looks. These little adjustments, they'll help later on when I'm going through with oil pastel. I won't have to recorrect it with oil pastel. I'll just kind of go right over the top, but I can always make more adjustments. Okay. All right, so we're getting close to starting the oil pastel. I'm just gonna bring a little bit more of this ochre color back into this area. Okay. This is where those waves are gonna be, which I'm starting to really like right in there. You see these waves, right? The reflection of the sky right in that section. Right, and then on the other side of the wave, it's a little bit darker. Okay, just a little bit darker helps with getting that movement of water a little bit more believable right there. Right, on the other side of that highlight there, a little darker. That kind of helps with that a little bit. All right, let's go with a little bit of a lighter gray on top of some of these. And I'm going to play with the water quite a bit and really try to just perfect it as much as I can here. Oop, I dropped it. That happens. And I got a rubber mat down here on my floor. It's a rubber mat. So one thing about these NuPastels is they're brittle, and if you're working on them and you drop them on a hard floor, they're going to shatter almost like glass. So, and I've had that happen. So, and I always have a rubber mat because it's just easier on my feet to stand on a rubber mat, since I like to stand while I work. So yeah, I just dropped that guy. It's okay. Sometimes when they come in these little, they break off in these little shards, almost a little easier to work with. So it's not a big deal. All right. All right. So looking good. Trying to make just movement in the water back in here. All right, just kind of random little waves. Okay, and now I always take my hands and go back right over the top of that. All right. Okay, so I think we're gonna go ahead and, yeah, I think I'm gonna switch over to my oil pastels, and I can just kind of keep working with the oil pastels because I'm ready for that. So anyway, that's a good start with the NuPastel, and I could keep working this with the NuPastel and pretty much finish it out that way. But I definitely fixed out the perspective much better, so it looks like we're a little bit more lower down here in the foreground, kind of like this picture shows. Okay, so next thing's next. So let's put all the pastel sticks, let's put them all back, try to group them in general color areas, but you know, I'm not too organized on it so much, but kind of where the browns go and the oranges or the ochres go, I kind of put everything kind of back in the general area. Okay, and let's see, that's like a pink. We'll put that one there. There's a gray and light blue, some darker blue. All right, get all these back, and then the one I dropped down here. There we go. Okay, brown. Okay, now let's go ahead and clean my hands. All right, these little wipes here do a great job of that. Clean it right up. Okay, so the next step is, before we put oil pastel on the top of it, I'm going to shake it up a little bit, let some of that stuff drop if there's any, but really down here there's really nothing going on down here, so everything's really stayed on the paper. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this flat here, and I'm going to go outside and I'm going to spray my workable fixative all over this thing. And it's going to take about 3 solid applications, 3 coatings of it, and I use this stuff by Krylon, but any workable fix will work. So I'm going to cover the surface with the Krylon workable fixative. You know, I'll do 1 spray like this. You know, I'll go like this, like 8 inches away, just back and forth, just nice and slow. Right, stop, let it dry for 5 minutes, and I'll come back. I'll do it again. Okay, let it sit for 5 minutes, and I'll come back and do it again. Right, and so I'm going to go do that now, and then I'll show you afterwards what it's like afterwards. And watch, when I put workable fixative on pastel, the colors are going to change, because pastels, soft pastels, don't like fixative on it. Changes the color, so you'll see it. So look at it now. When I come back, it should be darker. There should be darker colors from the workable fix. Okay, all right, I'll be back. All right, I'm back, and I did the fixative, and I don't know if you noticed, but definitely the colors are darkened up here, and you might not notice it here, but while you're using fixative on pastel, hard pastel or soft pastel, you'll see those colors change right in front of your eyes. Right, doesn't happen with oil pastel, but with a soft pastel that definitely happens. All right, so I got good coverage on here. I can run my fingers. I'm just getting a little bit of dust up, but not bad. It's good enough for oil pastel at this point. And the surface has got a nice gritty, almost like a sandpaper type texture to it, which is perfect for the oil pastel to go over the top. Okay, so let's start. I grabbed these 2 blues here, and I don't have my regular sky blue cloud. I ran out of it, so I'm going to have to use a combination of this blue and this gray, this light gray, to kind of get the color of the sky that I'm looking for here. And before I do that, I'm going to turn off my little heater, because there we go, it's just taking up too much power and causing my light to flicker, which is, it gets annoying. So, and it's plenty warm in here. At least for the next half hour I can start working on the sky. So let's bring it down here so I'm in focus, or in view of the camera. Right, let's go stop. I like to go from top to bottom. Let's just start up right here in the sky and just start scrubbing in the oil pastel right over that NuPastel, right on top of that workable fixative. All right. Decided to just use my chest harness for my camera here, right, so I can get nice and close. You can guys, that's the benefit of using this camera, is I can lean in and get really close details like that. And I just got to be careful not to move my body around so much when I have it strapped to me. Right, now I'm going to kind of move around these clouds. All right, so that way I don't really cover over those clouds too much there. And I'm trying to wonder if that's the right kind of blue I want for the sky. It's not exact what I was going for, but it's pretty close. It's close enough, and I'm not too worried about it right now. I think my reference picture shows more of a truer blue here, but it's okay. This will work. All right, and I just try to cover that NuPastel layer, right? Get up right up in the corners there. Get that pastel, oil pastel, right up in the edge of the tape. This is a NeoPastel here, and you can see the color of it. Right, kind of a good, decent sky color, I think. The normal sky color I use is a little bit lighter than that, actually, and I just ran out of it. I got to go to the art store and kind of stock up on some colors. All right, now getting down here to the where it meets this little mountain here. I'm just going to kind of redefine that edge a little. Go right up to the edge of it. This is a mostly water painting. I mean, the most of this painting, a good 3/4 of it is just all water, so not a lot of sky here to work on. just keep going. I don't have any polars. I ran out of my little 8-pack. So just regular water tonight. Gotta get back to the store and get another 8-pack. I drink those like daily, so they go quick. All right, just working around the big clouds there. Now my plan is I'm going to do this here. This is a 12 by 16 format. I think I mentioned that before. So the plan is I'm going to paint this out with oil pastel. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it as a reference and do a big oil painting of this same scene, but I'm trying to use my oil pastel painting as the reference for the big oil painting I'm going to make. And I want to do it on a 24 by 36 inch canvas, and I have a bunch of canvas right there, right? I got a couple of 24 by 36s, and so I'm going to break out my oil paints and then convert basically this to something huge. 24 by 36. I think it'll look awesome, right? And that'll take a while. That's going to be a long project. And I'll just chip at away a little bit each day until I get to it. But I've got a nice set of oil paints that I've been playing around with, and so I want to convert some of my oil pastel paintings into large oil paintings, which will be fun. And then just use my work as the reference to look at, and just match the colors, make it easy. Okay. All right, let's go over to this side here and touch up this sky. All right, I'm just kind of working around those clouds. I'll go back in with like a light gray and do the clouds here, but back in here we got this, and I think I'll just go right there. Distant mountains here that sit way back in the background. I find that oil pastel work for me. Like my ideal size is the 12 by 16, 12 by 17 format. And then 16 by 20 is really the largest I like to go with oil pastel. Anything larger than that, I feel that, for me anyways, I feel that oil paint would be a better way to go. But for the 12 by 17, 16 by 20 size, I think oil pastel would be the medium I choose. I've done big oil pastels, 18 by 24s, and I've done even larger 24 by 30s in oil pastel, and I was able to work it out. But I don't know. I think just using oil paint at that point might be better. Okay, so I got this now NuPastel light gray, and I'm just gonna scrub over the top of this blue to kind of lighten up the sky. And then take my finger and see if I can kind of get closer to that sky color, because as the sky gets closer to the horizon, it tends to lighten up. Okay, as we get closer to the horizon, the blue in the sky kind of fades away to more of a light blue. All right, so I'll use this gray to kind of achieve that. Kind of layer that gray over the top of that blue, and then use my finger to push it in, smear it around, kind of mix the colors into each other. Okay. I just do that. Since I don't really have the stick, my sky blue stick, since I ran out, I kind of have to use a couple different sticks to get the color that I'm looking for. And the finger is a good blending tool. Just got to make sure the fingers are not dirty, otherwise I'm going to be getting the sky all dirty, so got to be careful. Check your fingers before you start blending with them, I guess. So you can tell that the sky did lighten up here. And which is good. That's kind of what I wanted. And keep going with that effect. NuPastel, other than the Senneliers brand, I think NuPastel is a good close second as far as their quality and what I like working with. Just because they're very soft. And the color line is excellent, like superb. Very vast range of colors in their lineup. So, and I am lucky to live in an area where I can go to my art store, buy open stock NuPastels and open stock Senneliers, right? So that's fortunate for me that I can just go down to my art store and do that. But even if I didn't, I would just buy them online. And they are expensive, but boy, they are worth it. Quality products is definitely worth the outcome that you can get with them. All right. I used to be able to buy Mungio's open stock, but that ended back during the height of the COVID 2020, when all of a sudden just couldn't find Mungio's anymore. They just stopped selling them, and I couldn't even buy them online, like just individual sticks. I had to go buy like the whole set again, which doesn't make any sense financially. So unfortunately, I had to start going away from Mungio just because it's just harder and harder for me to replace the sticks. But I did like the Mungio. I got that 72 count set of the Mungios several years ago, and they've lasted a long time. But you use some of the same colors over and over again, especially a lot of their grays, and I just started running out of them. So, and I couldn't replace them, which is kind of frustrating. All right, so that's pretty good. All right, let's go. Let's create the clouds. We might as well just use this same gray, and just go back and kind of recreate these clouds here. So I'm going to go right over the top of where those were. Okay, and just kind of do a little circular motion, and then just kind of soften the edge a little bit so it's not such a hard edge. And just kind of go over here and find those cloud shapes, kind of circular. And kind of take the finger and just kind of soften it up. All right. Clouds, I don't try to overthink them. I just kind of put in, and then just make sure I kind of soften those edges on the clouds. Don't make them too heavy looking, otherwise they look like big marshmallows. So they just gotta look really soft and delicate. All right, let's look at my reference picture real quick. You can see the clouds here I'm working on. All right, so it's got these big puffy ones, but it's also got these really light kind of streaky clouds here that go across. Right, so maybe I should do some of those too, just kind of streaky clouds here that kind of just feather really light. Okay, I'm just using that same NuPastel light gray for all this right here, and if we need to, we'll use that Sen white and highlight some of these cloud areas. Oh, my dog's scratching at the door here, so let me stop the camera.